to all the members of the press corps. We appreciate you joining us this morning. We want to talk about some important issues to Minnesotans and share some stories of how the inaction by House Democrats is affecting them. And this is important. I think businesses have been through one of the most turbulent and trying years in recent history. And now we have an opportunity to make sure that the money that they received from the federal government to help them keep their employees employed, to make sure that they get to keep that money. And instead, due to unintended consequences of old statutes, Minnesota is taxing that income, and Minnesota, with a flush surplus of about $4.2 billion right now, Minnesota is literally profiting off of harming Minnesota businesses who were so strong and kept their people employed through this toughest pandemic and the toughest year in their history. So these are real lives, and real lives are impacted by the decisions that are being made or delayed at the legislature. So we wanted to share some of those stories with you, and we want you to hear firsthand from the owners of those businesses and how this has impacted them. So it's time for the House to take action. The Senate passed the bill exempting PPP loans, loan forgiveness from state income tax. They did that weeks ago. It passed on a veto-proof majority of 55-12 in the Senate. Very, very broadly bipartisan. This is not a partisan issue, and this is something that Minnesotans need, and they need it right now. So we need to continue to put pressure on House Democrats to bring up the bill and to pass it, and to not hold it hostage for other things, as is kind of customary lately in their caucus. So without further ado, I want to introduce the business owners who have so graciously agreed to join us and share their story with us. So first, I want to introduce Terry Lee. Terry is the owner of Lee Branding, a branding firm located in Minneapolis. So thanks for joining us, Terry.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Representative.
And go ahead, tell us your story.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I own, my name is Terry Lee. Lee Branding is my agency. I've been in business for 10 years in Minneapolis, started my business in Northeast Minneapolis and have continued strong there. The PPP loan was very influential in my business. We focus primarily in healthcare companies. And as we know, with COVID, there was a halt on optional procedures in the medical industry for non-critical procedures, which affected all of our clients and launches, product launches, etc. So we had a situation where we had a lot of business on hold. And so the PPP loan allowed me to keep all of my employees. Many agencies around me were laying people off, and the funds were directly going to employee salaries, and I was able to maintain them and maintain them really in their current positions. We also used that money really to offer comfort. There was complete stress in these families and where their income, if things were changing. And I was able to say, no, we can continue to keep everyone on, and we'll continue to do our work. And that bought us the time that we needed. If we are taxed for these dollars, that is going to put a burden on my business. And I am also very fearful of not knowing what this tax really means. Looking at the tax rates, that could be another additional $20,000 that is we're not up to 100% speed. I'm able to maintain my employees, but additional dollars that, one, I'm not counting on, and two, I'm not quite sure where it's going to come from as projects are still on hold. So this is critical. The PPP loan was critical to Lee Branding in keeping my employees employed and supplying, really great resources for their families to continue as is.
Great. Thank you so much, Terry, for sharing your story. If you can hang out with us a little bit, we'll open it up for some questions. But next, I want to introduce our next guest. And I've got my notes right here. I apologize. Our next guest is Mandy Ruley. She's the owner of Minnesota Play Cafe in Maple Grove, and she's here to tell you a little bit about her story and how this is impacting her. So Mandy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for the chance to talk a little bit. Again, my name is Mandy, formerly in Champlin. Now we are in Maple Grove. Last year at this time, we were in Champlin. We have only been around for 2.5 years total. So only a year and a half into our business, we were closed down. The PPP loan was actually, we couldn't be open to, we're actually a play cafe, so we're part coffee shop and part play area for small kids. Obviously the small kid area had to be closed, understandable. We kind of pivoted and we ended up doing coffee curbside, also making sensory bins for children to do curbside. That was not gonna pay anything, but I wanted to keep my staff on. So because of the PPP, I was able to bring girls in that were working for me so that they could still make some money, you know, selling coffee curbside. I know Starbucks has made $1 billion out of it, but that's not really our main business. So the PPP was very helpful at that time. It also paid a small part of our rent. Right now, I mean, I'm looking at paying about $560 for the PPP loan and tax to the state. And in addition, $750 for the supplemental unemployment benefit that I was able to receive. And I know to a lot of big businesses, you know, $1,300 might not be a lot, but in the past 12 months, we were closed by the government twice. In that time, I lost my lease at my space that I had been in for a year and a half. I had to physically rebuild my entire business at a great personal, mental, and financial expense. And now still 12 months later, we are in a space and we are looking forward and very hopeful, but we're still not at 100% capacity. And the struggle to combat the last 12 months of all of the debt that I have accrued, it's gonna go on for the foreseeable future. So, you know, $1,300 to me is huge. I mean, like I said, obviously it'll help pay staff and things for right now. But the debt that I have managed to get in the past 12 months from having to be closed and having to rebuild and do all of these things is, I try not to think about it. So $1,300 to me is huge, and anything that the state can do to help support us and let us keep that money after the year that the government has put us through, that would be extremely helpful and fair.
Great, thank you so much for joining us. Now I'll introduce Representative Anne Neu Brindley.
Thank you, Kurt. And thank you so much, Terry and Mandy, for being here and sharing your stories. You know, we've all been hearing these stories from across the state and our districts. These are obviously just two examples, but we've all been hearing this from our local Main Street businesses. And it doesn't matter if you're a little bit bigger, Terry, like you are, or a small little company serving your community, Mandy. The impact is significant. Regardless, the impact is significant. It's incredibly frustrating for us to hear stories like these. Business taxes were due on March 15th, and the legislature can do this. We have bipartisan support, as Leader Daudt mentioned. This passed with a veto-proof majority in the Senate, and we have the resources. We have a budget surplus. We have significant federal dollars coming into the state. We have the resources to do this. It is a bipartisan effort. And so it just shows how misplaced the priorities are for the House majority right now. They're spending time in committee and even today on the floor discussing bills that they know are not going to become law. And instead they're blocking action on PPP and unemployment insurance relief for workers so that they can tie it to other issues in the budget. Sometimes we just need to do the right thing. And this is one of those cases. This isn't a partisan issue. As we said, I mean, it passed with 55 votes in the Senate. It's time for the House to stop being a roadblock, help our businesses, help our workers. And with that, we're happy to open it up for questions.
Are there questions?
Just quickly, what is the tax chair, Paul Marquardt, and the leadership telling you about the delay here?
Well, you know, we tried to bring this bill up on the House floor a couple of times now, I think at least, maybe 3 or 4 times, just because it's so urgently needed. You know, these tax payments were due on March 15th for most businesses. For some, they're due later, but nonetheless, you know, the forgiveness of these loans required that these businesses spend this money on certain expenses. And for the most part, I think 70% of that money had to be spent to retain employees so that they didn't go on to the unemployment rolls. So this really was intended to be a benefit to those businesses, and they weren't allowed to keep any of that money or set any of that money aside to pay the taxes. They had to, the requirements of having the loan forgiven required that they spent all the money. So this really is a blow to them. To answer your question, John, that they're basically telling us that, you know, they think that this needs to be done, but they don't think that it needs to be done urgently, and they don't want to do this until they put other tax provisions in with it, which tells us that they want to hold this hostage to raise taxes on other Minnesotans. And frankly, I think that's unconscionable at this time. I think Representative Robbins would like to jump in here too.
Thank you, Representative Daudt. And I serve on the Taxes Committee. We have had this fight multiple times, and Chair Marquardt just continues to say that he wants to make sure that we take care of everyone. And so he is clearly holding this back so that he can add tax increases as a bargaining chip. And that, to me, is unconscionable. Our small business owners have suffered so much in the last year, and then they were hit with this tax that they don't have money set aside to pay. And there is some less pressure because the tax deadline got moved to May 17th. But for those of you who watch the legislature, that's our adjournment date. And I don't know that will give them any certainty by the time they have to file taxes on that day. We need to get a clean bill giving state tax relief on PPP loans and the unemployment supplemental out now. So these families and businesses have certainty. They have just been through so much, and they cannot afford these payments. And we cannot ask them to go into debt to pay taxes to the state when we're at $4.2 billion in surplus. That is a lot of it's one-time money. We should be using it for this now.
Very, very well said. Eric Escala. We're there. Eric, did you have a question? You're on mute if you are trying to ask a question. There you go.
Okay, Boomer, my fault. 7 weeks until adjournment, and I assume the final product will be retroactive on these tax payments. Is that going to cause some big hardship if it happens on May 17th on the final night of the session and it's retroactive? How would that still be a burden on the small businesses?
I want to ask each of our business owners who have joined us to kind of talk about that. But I mean, the reality is, you know, we're expecting businesses to pay this in either on March 15th or April 15th, and then later have to file a second round of a tax return or amendment to get the money back. It's just irresponsible. There's no reason we can't do this now, but I'll let them kind of answer about the impact. Terry, maybe do you want to go first?
Absolutely. The impact, you know, from a business that we're trying to get back to where we were down 40% in billings last year. And it was because purely of COVID, holding up all of our clients, putting projects on hold. We did everything that we could. We are stretched. And in order to know what we have to pay, that is the point, is do we have to go into debt? Again, it's just no way out. That $20,000, that pays for 2 months of rent that I still have to pay. I have all my employees working remotely. I can't get out of my rent either. So we are taxed. We are stressed, and we need to give that guarantee to the families that we've employed. I want to continue the health of my organization, and my employees come first. That's my first responsibility, and things hopefully will catch up, but we are still behind. It impacts us greatly.
Thank you, Terry. Mandy, do you want to comment on this as well? You're on mute there, Mandy.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's just so frustrating, the fact that the federal government got something done faster than the state government. Just seems, I don't know, weird to me. Maybe that's not weird, but you know, we were able to, we're an LLC. I'm a very small business. My finances, there we go. Personal and business are wrapped together, and to be able to get my federal taxes already done and ready to go. And I thought I had our state taxes prepared, and now we're just sitting here waiting on this. Like, I just don't want to wait for anything anymore. I have waited for 12 months to be able to operate my business like I choose to as a business owner, and want to be able to move forward and have some certainty in what has to be paid, what doesn't have to be paid, what I can do to actually plan for the future and moving forward. And with just knowing that representatives at the House level are just kind of twiddling their thumbs over my life, my personal finances that are so engrossed in my business finances is just beyond frustrating. I just hope that they can get this done so that we're not knowing until May or June. And this is why people get so frustrated with the government in general, is just not being able just to get things done, you know, the politics of it all. So I hope it can get done.
Yeah, thank you, Mandy.
Quick follow-up.
Oh, go ahead, Eric. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how much you'll be in the negotiations at the end, but do you have any idea what the GOP bargaining chips are going to be? Is it executive powers or something else?
You know, I think everybody is going to want the executive powers to be ended, or the emergency powers to be ended. And that should have frankly happened a long time ago. And it's not, Eric, I think we've explained this so many times, but it's not about whether COVID is real or not, or whether it's a danger or not. It's about the governor working with the legislature. I think one of the biggest issues that I see boiling to the top right now is the fact that we've received $2.6 billion of federal money. Maybe it's 2.7 actually. I think the spreadsheets are now showing, and it appears we're seeing the Democrats now indicating to us in committee that it's their intent that the governor spend that money on his own unilaterally without legislative approval, which I think is shocking. And it would be kind of the next level of irresponsibility by the legislature. I don't think anybody ever intended when they talked about the governor's ability to spend federal funds through the LAC process. And by the way, the A in LAC stands for advisory, not for appropriation. $2.6 billion of money spent by one person without legislative oversight is shockingly irresponsible. So that absolutely has to be changed before the end of session. And I don't think anybody's going to look too kindly if people try to block that. So I think that'll be one of the biggest issues.
What's the or else there?
You know, I don't know what the or else is, but I can't believe anybody in the legislature in either party would want the governor to spend money without legislative approval, especially that kind of money. It's one thing when we get maybe, $1 million or $5 million or 10 or $20 million of federal money for flood relief or something like that. That's what that law is designed for. It's not designed for $2.6 billion of money that could come to the state with no strings attached to it. So we need to make sure that there is legislative oversight. There needs to be hearings so the public can come in and testify and participate in the process, because right now the public has been shut out. And so that needs to change before the end of session.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Kendall, do you have a question?
Hey, good morning, guys. So many of Minnesota's surrounding states have already adopted Congress's exemption to this. Why do you think there is such the holdup in the Minnesota House specifically?
Well, it's very frustrating, and you are right that the surrounding states have absolutely either exempted this or it was already kind of federal conformity, as we would call it. They just comply in their laws to the federal tax code. Minnesota is dragging its feet, frankly, because I think Democrats in the House want to hold this provision hostage to try to get tax increases in exchange in other areas, which is unconscionable. We have the largest budget surplus in a generation or more, maybe the largest ever. I got to do that research, I guess. But it's really kind of shocking that at a time when the state is so flush, and at a time when Minnesota businesses have really overextended themselves to help their employees and their families to keep those people employed during this global pandemic, that somehow the state needs to profit off of that is brutally shocking and tone deaf on the part of House Democrats. So This isn't something that should be used as a bargaining chip. This is something that is absolutely the right thing to do, and it's very, very timely. And we absolutely have the money to do it. In fact, we're going to be looking for things to spend one-time money on. So this is something we should never be collecting this tax from Minnesotans. This needs to be left with those businesses for the purpose it was designed for. And as I said earlier, you know, these businesses were required to spend this money. They weren't even allowed to set aside part of this money to pay taxes. It was never intended to be taxed. This money was to keep Minnesotans employed through this pandemic. And the fact that we're taxing it is shocking. Do you have a follow-up, Kendall? Or?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. And then Theo, it looks like Theo has some questions. Do we want 100% of the jobless benefits forgiven in addition to 100% of the PPP forgiven? You know, I think our position is the same as the federal government, which is the, is the number 10,200, I think is the exemption on the unemployment benefits. If you do it differently than that, you can end up with unintended consequences where people that received you know, different levels of benefit get different level of taxes, and it can have a really unintended consequence where people that received less benefits pay more taxes. And we certainly wouldn't want that to happen. So the federal government has figured out that they think the best way to do that is exempt $10,200 worth of federal unemployment benefits. And if we could just comply with that and do the same, that would make it very simple for Minnesota taxpayers who are filing their tax returns coming up shortly. And I know there are a lot of Minnesotans who are sitting on their tax returns waiting to file them, waiting for us to take action. And that means they're likely not getting refunds back because if they filed now, they likely wouldn't get a refund. They would have a lot of their dollars taxed. And you know, if they have to pay these taxes in and then file a second tax return later or an amendment to their tax return, that's only going to be more money out of their pocket that's unnecessary. So we need to take action, and we need to take that action now. And then there was a question for Mandy. The question from Theo Keith from Fox 9 is, did you say you're also facing a tax hit on unemployment benefits in addition to the PPP?
So it's exactly what you're talking about. So if I'm hopeful that we can do exactly what the federal government did, and the $10,200 will equate to about $750 in taxes that I would pay to the state if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, thank you. Are there other questions?
There was a question for me, Terry, I believe, of how many employees that I see in the notes.
I see that. I'm sorry, I missed that. Yeah, go ahead and share that with us if you would, Terry.
Great. I have 11 employees.
Very good. Thank you. And were you able to keep all 11 of those employees on during the pandemic?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With this loan, that made it very much, it all went for that. We have a very great team that have worked for me for many years, and everyone maintained, and we were able to keep them all on. Without that immediate relief, that would not have been the situation without the PPP.
Sure. Right. Yeah, thank you. Question from Tim Pugmire: is the plan to bring up this bill again on the House floor today? We don't have that planned yet, and we don't know if it even makes sense to do that. Unfortunately, when we've tried to bring these bills up, the Democrats just vote in lockstep to hold that off. You know, and obviously they're holding the bill hostage for tax increases later on, which I think it's irresponsible to do it, first of all, even if there was a possibility of tax increases. But we have the largest surplus in modern history, and we don't need the money. There is no need to increase taxes and take more money out of Minnesotans' pockets. Minnesotans have struggled this last year. Minnesota businesses have struggled to keep employees employed this last year. It's unconscionable for us to raise taxes on anybody in this economy, in this environment, when we have such a huge surplus. It's just really irresponsible. Brianna Biersbach asks, Walz has linked summer school funding to a possible deal on PPP and UI tax relief. saying it's also time sensitive. Is there an appetite amongst Republicans to tie those two things together and get a deal? We don't believe that these things should be negotiating chips. The House Republicans brought a bill to the floor last week to fund summer school, and we did it with no strings attached to get the money out to school districts on an optional basis if the school districts wanted, but it required teachers and students to be in classrooms, which we think is a vitally important part of that. So we are absolutely supportive of funding summer school, and we have the money to do it because we're getting $2.6 or $7 billion from the federal government. So we don't think they need to be attached, but we're happy to support all three of those things. So, and I think I missed a question about, do we care to comment on the paid sick and safe time bill that's on the calendar today? I don't necessarily have comments about that, other than what we should be doing is we should be taking up these tax provisions that can help Minnesotans right now, today, instead of these ideological things that will only do more harm to Minnesota businesses that really have no chance of becoming law anyway. Now is not the time to punish Minnesotans and Minnesota businesses. Now is the time to help them, so that when this pandemic is 100% completely over and 100% in our rearview mirror, they can be healthy, and they can bring their employees back if they had laid them off, or they can be ready to expand their businesses and grow in what we think will be a booming economy when this is over. So unfortunately, Democrats are just intent on doing all of the wrong things to punish Minnesota businesses. And Minnesota businesses are the people who employ Minnesotans and really are the lifeblood of our economy. So it's really wrong of them to do that. Does Kristin or Anne have a comment about that bill or what's on the floor today?
I think you said it perfectly, Kurt. This is just another example of how we are hurting businesses at a time that our businesses are struggling more than they ever have historically. This bill being proposed today will absolutely place a new tax on Mandy and Terry, period. End of story. And this is at a time where they are begging us for tax relief, because they're being hit with these massive tax bills already that frankly threaten businesses across the state. They've been able to hold on, and I think it's remarkable. Terry said that her business is down 40% this last year, and yet she has maintained all 11 of her employees because of this PPP loan. And now the state of Minnesota is going to profit off of that. You've said it before, it's unconscionable. And the bill proposed today is yet another layer that will hurt our businesses, particularly our small businesses. Most of our large employers already offer this kind of benefit. It's going to hurt employers like Mandy and Terry. That's what this is going to do.
And then there is a question from John Croman from Care 11 that says, for the business owners, can you explain the extra hassle of having to file for an extension? So I would say, first of all, will you file for an extension, or do you think you'll be required to? What's the hassle involved with that? Or do you think you'll file and then file an amendment to your return, or what is your current plan? Or do you just not know right now?
Yeah, right now it's, I think that we probably will be looking at an extension. Amendments are not, that becomes more expensive. There's costs, there's times, there's accounting, there can be possible errors. It is not the way you want to go, is doing an amendment. Extension in my mind is the only option. And again, it's more paperwork, more things to keep track of. And as also a lot of these new taxes, these new rules are very interesting, very confusing this year. So it is taking more time, but for sure it has to be an extension, and amendments not an option in my mind.
Is there a potential too, Terry, that if you file an extension and for some reason the House Democrats fail to act on this provision, that ultimately you could have some penalties for paying this tax late? Absolutely.
That's a very good point. That's the next piece of it, right? Then it's the penalties. And those penalties are getting very, very expensive, and they change. And there's a lot of paperwork that goes into it. But yes, the penalties, and those generally, compound over time or days. And it can be very serious from a financial standpoint.
Andy, did you want to comment on that as well?
Sure. And obviously with Terry and I, it sounds like we're very different in like the size and scale of our business, whereas me being such a small business, I mean, on a smaller scale, but to be honest, the money that I'm looking at here, I would be nervous that the amount I'm going to have to pay my accountant to do all of this is literally going to be like, even if it goes through, but it takes, you know, we have to do an extension or whatever, the extra money that I have to pay my accountant hourly to do this for me, it's crazy. I mean, we do as much stuff as I can in-house here. I do marketing, I do graphic design, but accounting is where I draw the line, and I hire a professional. So it's, you know, it's a lot smaller scale than probably what Terry's speaking to, but it's not for me. You know, in my world, it's a big deal, and if I have to pay an accountant an extra 4 hours, that's a lot of money to me. So.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mandy and Terry, for joining us today and sharing your stories. We want to thank you particularly for what you're doing for your communities and for your employees, and we certainly want to be there to help you. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Thanks to the press for joining us. This obviously is a big issue and needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. And frankly, I think what Minnesotans would love is if we could get rid of the politics and just do what's right for Minnesotans. And there's no better example than making sure that these businesses and these Minnesotans who were displaced workers have the assurance that they won't be taxed on these benefits that were sent from the federal government to help them during such a trying time. So our commitment is to make sure that we get that done quickly so that we provide that assurance and Minnesotans can move on and get back to life normally as soon as this pandemic is over. So thank you everyone for joining us, and have a great day.